Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being patient for the community of the whole. We did have a quick executive session, which I'll announce later. At this time, we have a presentation on our new district website that will be launched soon. So, Mr. Krebs, I think you're involved with that. Could you give us the presentation, please? And I'd like to call the meeting in order for the committee of the whole at this time. Do we have any public comment? Hearing none, then we'll move on to the new district website review. Mr. Krebs, Director of our Technology. Thank you, Mr. Krebs, for your work and your presentation.
Sure. Good evening. I'm here tonight to present the new design district website. This project represents an opportunity to enhance communications with the school-wide community. And we believe the new website will be a valuable tool for our students, parents, staff, and the community. And I'm excited to share some of its key features with you tonight. So a little bit of background. Our current website is on a content management system by a company by the name of Blackboard. And it was developed in 2016. The Blackboard platform also includes our mass notification system, which, if you're familiar with the robocalls and email blasts that go out, that is the mass notification system. So a while ago, Finalsite, another website content manager, acquired Blackboard. And the primary reason Finalsite wanted to acquire Blackboard is because the mass notification system that Blackboard had was an industry state-of-the-art system, and Finalsite lacked such a platform. However, the Finalsite web content manager was far superior to Blackboard. So when they combined the two companies, they took the best of breed of both applications, and that's been the platform going forward. For early adopters of the Finalsite content management system, they offered a free migration path. So we jumped on that opportunity so that to save the money on having to pay for a migration. And at that time, we implemented our webmaster, Bob Baker, as the project manager for the website change. So we launched we got a team of content editors from each building together to pick a design for the new website. One of the design that we settled on, we liked because there were icons that had shortcuts to the top access content. Also, we felt that the new design, the sections that were available were very clear and uncluttered. So with the migration itself, we wanted to get a fresh start. So rather than just migrating all content from old to new, Bob has been going through document by document, link by link, page by page, and only migrating content that is still relevant or is legally required to be on the website. Also, at the same time, he is looking at everything from an OCR compliance standpoint to make sure that the website is up to the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act standards. Things like captions on images, and also to make sure that PDF files are able to be read by an optical character recognition program. Next slide, Darren. So, some of the limitations of the existing website, the navigation is confusing, there's too many options, and the search functionality on the website is ineffective. Also, because the old platform does not use a responsive design, it looks good on a desktop, but it becomes cluttered and unusable on a mobile device. And I suspect that many of our community members are looking at the website on a smartphone, so that's an important limitation. So goals for the new website. We wanted to improve the user experience to make the navigation more intuitive and easier. We wanted to make sure that the layout would change to fit perfectly on whatever device they're looking at. Also, with school site integration with the district homepage. Currently, a news item that is put on a school website will not appear on the district page unless someone manually adds it to each page they want it in. With a new website, we wanted to be able to give a content editor the choice of which pages they want their news item or photograph to appear. And last but not least, we were looking for better accessibility that I've already mentioned previously. Now I created a short video here to give you and highlight some of the features of the website.
This is the district main page. There's navigation on the upper portion of the screen and down the side. And I'll come back to that in a little bit. As you scroll down through the website, the first section you come to is the icon pane. This area is an easy way for the community to navigate to specific sections of a website just based on a quick call out, title, or a visual image. As we go farther down the screen, we come to a call to action center where we can feature pictures, videos, news items that we want to call specific attention to. As we go down even farther, we get to the news and announcements section. On the left-hand side, an end user can scroll left and right through a series of news items. Typically, the news items in this area will be changing on a daily or at least a weekly basis. Over on the right, other news and announcements could be more static for information such as kindergarten registration that perhaps we want to keep up there for several months at a time, or other news items that need to be static for a period of time. At the bottom of the page, we come to the calendar. There is an option to view the full calendar. However, a user can just scroll back and forth a day at a time to see what the upcoming events are if they're looking for something specific. These calendar items will include not only district items, but also items from the individual school buildings. As we go back to the top, there's 3 different places for navigation. To make it easy for parents, students, and the community to get to information that is pertinent to them, we have these drop-downs at the top. We've made a specific call out for enrollment to make it easier for families enrolling new students to find where to go to take care of their paperwork. Down the left, we have specific areas that we want to highlight. They're high traffic areas, and we want to make it easy for end users to get to those. Then there's also the standard traditional menu items. And as an example, if we go to school board and look at school board information, that will take us to that area of the website. There's more navigation on the left to drill into even more specific areas, for example, agenda and minutes, where the community member could click on a specific year and then scroll back through and look for minutes, agenda, and information from past board meetings. Coming back to the top, the user can now pick which school they want by going to that drop down. For example, if they choose middle school, there now will be located on the middle school page, and as we scroll down through the middle school page, you'll see there's the icon pane area. They've chosen to add some additional things above and beyond what we had on the district site. The call to action section could feature their specific call to action videos and feature items, or they could just default to the district ones. And then the news and announcement section works the same, but this is now specific to the middle school. Continuing on, the middle school calendar would be at the bottom of the page, so they could view the full middle school calendar, or they could scroll through upcoming events on a day-to-day basis. The last item that I want to highlight is the responsive design feature of the website. And to do that, I'm going to skip over to the content management system that we use for configuring the website. And what you notice is right now we're looking at the website on a full screen, similar to the rest of the demo. But to give you an idea what it would look like if you're on your smartphone, I can quickly change this. And now we're looking at a representation of what our website looks like if you're on a smartphone. And as you scroll down through, you'll see the same items, the icon panes, but it's been rearranged to look good on a smartphone. Here's our call to action section, and that'll be followed by the news and announcements, and then below that, the actual calendar. So we believe that's a very nice feature. As another example, here is what it would look like on a tablet. This is definitely one of the weak spots of the current system that we've addressed with the new website. This completes the demonstration of the new district website.
So currently, the content population is in the final stages. Bob Baker is meeting with each building site administrator, providing some training, and going through their specific sites to make the final changes to the content. Our target launch for the new website is August, and when the new site is ready, we'll do a mass notification blast, let people know on social media, and a newsletter. Lastly, feedback is welcome. If there are features, elements, information that might not be prominent enough or should be highlighted in the new design, more than happy to address those items. This concludes my presentation. I'm interested to hear your perspectives and answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Krebs. I see tremendous improvement in being able to access, get to things quickly, also help search by school. I have reviewed some of the things already on it. So thank you very much for your presentation, but more importantly, for the service to the community. Any board members have any comments or ideas? Carmen?
Yeah, Mr. Krebs, you said the search function is going to be greatly improved, so that would that mean like if I type in a student handbook, I'll get all the student handbooks for all the different buildings?
You should. The current website, I know when you use the search functionality, it doesn't limit it just to the website. But with the new platform, when you search, it's only looking within the website, so it should be much improved.
Thank you. That was one of the biggest things I had an issue with, was the search function not going to what you would think you would go to when you put in information.
Yes. Anything else?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Baker,
you.
for your work and continue. We can't wait to see it launch so that our students, our community, and our school staff can use it effectively. Thank you, Mr. Krebs. Do we have any other business for the committee of the whole at this time? Yes, Mrs. Booth?
I just wanted to address a concern about policy 004.1, the student representative to the board policy that was mentioned at the last meeting. I did just want to point out that we do currently have a policy 004.1. It was originally adopted March 19th of 2001. So that is a full 24 years ago, and it is still in effect. It was revised then February 18th, 2013. We did, as a policy committee, recommend that there were some changes to update things. We changed some qualifications that were required on the old policy and decreased those. We adopted a few things at staff suggestion and changed it from May to April. But this policy was approved to be passed on to the board on October 21st of last year, and somehow, for some reason, that never made it to the board's agenda, which I do not know why. I did send emails to the former principal last year on April 19th of 24, asking him to please follow the policy and allow the school body to vote, allowing students to put in their names so that they get on the board and they can have the joy of having a democratic process in the school. There was some emails back and forth, and eventually some of the wording that I had to put in the email was, this policy was brought up and noted in the meeting minutes in the January 15th, 24 meeting, 3 full months ago, 4 months before the student body could take a vote, which was ample time for the vote to occur in May. And I also said that we are enforcing and following a policy that has been in place, at that time 22 years, it's actually now been 24 years. And then encourage them in the end by, let's move to make the following policy a daily goal for everyone, every time, every day. That will go a long way for making students feel secure, included, and having equal opportunities. The future is May, and yet we did not have an election last May for student reps on the board. And it is currently May, and we just had an opening on the board. And so we learned that 5 days is an ample time to put in notice for an opening on the board. So I feel that we can still have this happen in May before the students are out of school. We have this week. We can start announcing it. We can announce it to the student body every day for the next 5 days, announcements, please. We need a sophomore and a junior. We need 2 reps on the board to represent, we'll be representing next year, the juniors and senior class, as is written in the current policy. So we need those students to put in their letter of interest so they can get put on the ballot, so that it can still happen. So I just encourage our administrators to please follow the policy that we have in place. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Any other comments from the floor for the committee of the whole? I have a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole. Motion, Mr. Myers, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Foreman, there is a discussion. I assume we're all voting in the affirmative, unless there is a negative or abstaining. Very good. At the committee of the whole, I declare this closed at this time. It is 7:30, so we can move into the regular school board meeting for the Big Spring School District for May 5th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting order at this time and have pledge of allegiance. Please stand for your reading.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I would like to report that we did have an executive session right before the committee of the whole to discuss a right-to-know request submitted by Laura Kaufman about the appointment of a new board member. Also, we discussed during the right-to-know request. After that, we discussed the current lawsuit still in county court with our solicitor, and he gave us some advice on that. Student staff recognition and board reports. We have in our staff or student report this evening. Reading of correspondence. Dr. Durante, do we have any? Thank you, Dr. Durante. Recognition of visitors. We hope that everyone signed in, took order for tonight's meeting. It's important we have a record of who's here. And at this time, we will move into the public comment period. Public comment is a time to respond to items that are on the agenda We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. Start with Rosie McCrary, please. Thank you.
Good evening. At the April 22nd Finance Committee meeting, there were adjustments that had been made to the proposed budget. I was surprised to hear no questions from the committee members at the end of the presentation by that business manager, considering the board was going to be asked to accept a final proposed budget at the May 19th meeting. During the presentation, there was information provided on how the business manager was able to reduce the potential deficit on the budget. One of those points included reducing the budget allocated to student services. What student services would be affected by this decreased budget? There are a lot of services encompassed within that department and a lot of students who benefit from those services. The business manager also showed that a 0.5% increase in taxes would affect the mean assessed property value by $30 over the course of a full year. If I had a student who benefited from the Department of Student Services, I'd think I would rather spend $30 over the course of a year on increased taxes than run the risk of losing services for my student through the school and have to go find third-party services for that student, potentially having to pay individually for those services. I'd appreciate any input you could give on that, simply because I don't know all the facts, but that seems to be something that would affect a lot of people within the district. And I was surprised that there weren't any questions about that, so perhaps you know more than I do on that, but if you could answer that question, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Michael Deal, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to open with a prayer. So those that believe in prayer, please join me. Eternal Father, we thank you so much for your goodness. You are a God of love. You are a God of wisdom. And we ask this evening, Father, that as this board meets, that you would pour your wisdom upon them, wisdom upon beyond their years of learning, that they would have the intelligence, just the wisdom, God, to make the correct decisions in leading this district in a direction that is a blessing for not only just the students, for the parents, for the teachers, the administrators, and for the board members themselves. Father, any agendas that are against your way, that would seek to hamper the learning of our children, we ask that you would expose it, shut it down, and instill people that will do nothing but the best of their abilities to take and mentor and teach our children. We thank you, and we bless you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Deal. John McCrary, please.
"60 years ago, Tom Paxton wrote a song entitled, "We Didn't Know." He wrote verses protesting the Vietnam War, the Holocaust, and Southern racism. He didn't write a verse protesting the Big Spring School Board. Last week I did, and I'm going to sing it for you tonight. "We didn't know," said the school directors, "about due process or the rule of law. We're going to do just what we want to. Any complaints, we just say, ah. Our solicitor's such a skillful man, and we know he's got some kind of plan. He said, rule of law don't apply to us. So we threw Garante under the bus." There's an old adage that applies here, I think. If it looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, walks like a duck, and swims like a duck, then it probably is a duck. That can be said of an official notice also. If it looks like an official notice, sounds like an official notice, and appears to be an official notice, and if it originates from the office where official notices normally originate, then it probably is an official notice. I talk about the one which was setting a date for receiving interested applications for the school board vacancy. Unfortunately, with the current board, the only way that official notice was going to be validated was if Allison Malot's application wasn't received on time. I think, let me say this. My wife and I stopped at a restaurant on our way home Friday evening from the Bernie Sanders rally, and we were served by a waitress who happens to be a student teacher at Big Spring, who said that there are a lot of comments in the teacher's lounge saying that the decision to select Melissa Bigler was extremely unfair. Not only is it unfair, but it's tremendously dumb, and one of the worst decisions ever made by this particular school board. But you guys really do know due process, except you got to put the emphasis on a different syllable and call it due process. Because to you folks, due process is that weather phenomenon which makes the grass wet in the morning. Thank you.
Lawrence Moon, please.
I'm sorry, I don't have a song. I don't have a song, but I appreciated that. I wanted to bring up Policy 9I. I think it's a very good policy. I wonder who came up with that. Was that the administration? Was that a board member? Just wondering if anybody would like to take credit for that. Oh, okay. Just came out thin air. I want to bring up a question. Who's went to McDonald's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A? Who's went to fast food? You'll have. Do you know when you go to a fast food restaurant, the person who gets the job has to take a pre-employment drug test to serve you a burger and to serve you fries? You know, I worked at Amazon, and I was just handling boxes. I was unloading trucks and scanning them. But I had to take a pre-employment drug test. I worked at Ames. I threw shovels in boxes and drove a fork truck. And I had to take a pre-employment drug test. Why has our school, for who knows how long, not required the people that has the care of our most valuable possession, our children? Why don't they have them take pre-employment drug tests? So for whoever came up with this, and I'm glad it's on there, I encourage you to vote in favor of 9I, that we do have pre-employment drug tests. And I just want to point out, if there are people who are opposing that, you got to ask yourself why. Why would you be opposed to people who are in charge of our most valuable possessions not taking a simple, 30-minute test? I took a mouth swab. But it's just common sense. So I'd encourage you to vote in favor of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Allison Malott, please.
Good evening. My dad has coached youth sports for years and years, and he's always said, you can tell if you have a good umpire if you don't even know they are there. You don't realize an umpire is there when the calls they are making are fair, and people on both teams can see that. Even if it's a close call and the fans grumble for a few seconds, they eventually settle down because everyone could see it was a close call, and all the other calls have been fair. When the calls aren't fair, you hear people start saying things like, oh, he's wearing whatever the other team's colors are under his stripes. I think many of us started showing up to board meetings because we were worried about the calls the board was making. Think about the number of people who are at board meetings now versus the number who were at them before many of you were elected. While I think public engagement is great, it's not great if people are showing up because they're scared. And that's why many of us are here. I started coming because when you were reviewing curriculum, I realized that many of you didn't have a firm understanding of PDE requirements and the background needed to really evaluate curriculum. And that's the bulk of my children's education sitting in your hands. I started coming because I was scared my special education kiddo was going to lose services. I'm not sure how education became two-sided, and for whatever part I have played in that, I am very sorry. I think it's a huge disservice to kids. It places adults at odds with each other when all any of us really want is to feel like our kids are safe when they come to school, they are receiving a quality education, and that what we value and teach at home won't be dismissed. I've spent a lot of time talking to people over the last few months, and it's interesting because most people are just scared. I mean, I'm sure there are a few genuinely angry ones, but most are nervous. Some people are scared their kids are being indoctrinated to the left, and some people are scared the right is taking over schools, when what we really should be focused on is teaching kids to read and do basic math, to think critically and develop skills that prepare them for their next step in life, whatever they choose that to be. We can't make good choices for kids if we're making those choices from a place of fear or anger. We can't leverage the strengths members of our community bring to the table if we spend our time trying to destroy our neighbors. We all need to focus on the kids and what they need, and it's not ideology from either side of the political spectrum. It's exciting opportunities to learn skills that will help them reach their full potential. We aren't providing an education to Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, or Independents. We're providing an education to children. I'm speaking tonight to hopefully model civility and respect in our discourse. I would also ask that if you're defending me or addressing the process that has me standing here tonight, please be respectful and thoughtful in that discussion. Our children deserve to see us model honesty, civility, and respect. We can see the close calls differently, but the colors under our stripes should be maroon and gold because we all should be trying to serve kids who are bulldogs.
Thank you, Allison. Adam Baldwin, please.
Integrity is defined as the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. We are doing our best to equip our young people here at Big Spring to have the life skills they'll need to be successful, independent, and responsible adults. That includes holding them accountable to things like deadlines, to calling them out when they make excuses, and to reinforcing the reality that what they do means a whole lot more than what they say. I did not see moral clarity in what transpired at our last board meeting. And whether it was on purpose or not, and I will give the benefit of the doubt, for some of us it came across as a power grab by people who know better. by people who wouldn't accept that behavior from their own kids or from their employees. Name calling is something else we don't accept from our kids. And I think there's a lot of name calling, as the last speaker just said, that's starting to happen as we ramp up into an election cycle, which is not uncommon, but we should all be better than that. I'm very interested to see so much language around the concept of leftist teachers' unions. I think if you actually got to know any of our employees here at Big Spring, you might be a little bit surprised at how off base that really is. But that said, I will tell you it's entirely possible to be a Republican and support public education. Supporting our kids and our neighbors' kids should not be a partisan issue, no matter how hard some people are trying to make it so. I'd also like to mention a point about fiscal responsibility. Every year, the state publishes something called the Act 1 Index. And the Act 1 Index informs every school district in Pennsylvania about what tax increase may be necessary to help keep up with the costs of inflation. Big Spring has operated without raising taxes to or above the Act 1 Index since 2016. That's a fact. Our district has been fiscally responsible for many years and has been doing all of this without asking taxpayers for even the minimum to keep up with the cost of inflation. If you're curious about the truth of that issue, I encourage anyone to research what Big Spring's Act 1 Index has been each year and just how high the district has raised taxes accordingly. It's been lower. In the famous story of Don Quixote, we read that he picks fights with windmills because he mistakenly thinks that they are giants. It doesn't matter when his best friend tells him the truth. He just charges his horse faster at the windmill. It doesn't matter when his lance is shattered or when he's knocked off his horse by the blade of the windmill. He just invents a new fantasy that a magician must have turned the giants into windmills at the last second. And so when we hear words like leftist teachers' unions, or fiscal responsibility, or liberals or conservatives, or pre-employment drug tests, know that these voices are just trying to get you to charge at a windmill with them, to get you to buy into a fantasy that somehow Oak Flat, Newville, Mount Rock, the middle school or the high school are somehow an evil giant that you need to defeat, to get us to believe that our neighbors or our kids' teachers are somehow enemies, and that something nefarious is happening here at Big Spring. Why? Because like Don Quixote, some people want to feel like a knight in shining armor, to feel like they're the real heroes. And if you'll give me just one moment more, I want to tell you who the true heroes are here at Big Spring. I had an opportunity to chaperone the prom here this past weekend at the War College, and I observed our Big Spring students noticing some of their peers who were anxious, who were sitting alone, who were overstimulated and were melting down in all the noise and the dark and all the people. And do you know what those Bulldog students did? They went to those students and welcomed them into their circle. They complimented them and included them. They pulled them onto the dance floor with them. It wasn't enough that our kids individually had a good time at prom. They wanted to make sure that everyone had a good time at prom. And so I want to thank our parents and our families for raising students with such strong moral principles, and for our faculty and staff for reinforcing those lessons here at school, because that is what integrity looks like. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. That concludes our public comment period at this time. I'll move into approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the committee minutes, the Finance Committee, the Committee of the Whole, and the Board meeting minutes for April 14th and April 22nd? Do I have a motion, please? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shea. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. Do we have any old business at this time? Hearing none, we'll move into new business. Unless there's an objection, we will combine all new business personnel action items listed under number E into one motion. That would include 8A through 8H. Is there any objection? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve personnel action items 8A through 8H? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Corman. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. We'll now move into new business action items. First thing is 9A, recommended approval of the 225-226 agreements with Dr. Sanders, Assistant Superintendent, has reviewed the capital area intermediate unit, Title II Memorandum of Understanding. Also, Mr. Pennon, Director of Athletics, has approved the Fitness Connection preventative maintenance contract. And lastly, Dr. Durante, Superintendent, reviewed the workforce development proposal for services for the Carlisle Area Chamber of Commerce for 25-26. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the agreements as presented. Do I have a motion, please? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shea. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we all vote affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. 9B, recommended approval to dispose of outdated science curriculum materials. The Office of Curriculum Instruction has requested permission to dispose of outdated K-8 FOSS science kits. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the request to dispose of outdated curriculum materials presented for Board Policy 706.1. Do I have a motion, please? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Foreman. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. 9C, recommended transportation services. The district conducted a request for proposal for transportation services beginning July 1, 2025. The district received 3 proposals, 2 full proposals, and 1 extracurricular. The vendors who submitted full proposals were Prize Transportation, Roar Bus, and Wolf's Bus Lines submitted proposals for extracurricular transportation only. After extensive review and interviews with the 2 vendors who submitted full proposals, it is recommended the Board of School Directors award a contract based on the request for the proposal to Prize Transportation for a period of 5 years. Do I have a motion to accept this recommendation? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Foreman. Is there discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. 9D, voting delegate for the 225 delegate assembly. The Board of School Directors designates to serve as the Big Spring School District voting delegate for the October 21st, 2025 delegate assembly. Do we have a nomination? Donna or Dr. Durante, any advice on this? Any process?
It's been virtual the last number of years.
Okay.
It's an invitation, simply.
Do we have to do it this evening, or can it be done by the 20th? Mr. Foreman?
I did it last year, I can do it again this year.
Okay.
It's in person now.
It's in person now?
Right.
Yes.
Yep. It's in, and it's a Tuesday. It's not even
It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday, what month?
October.
Yeah.
And Mr. Yes. Mr. Castillo, would you like to nominate someone? Okay, we have a nomination of Mr. Foreman, Seth Foreman, to serve as our delegate for Big Spring. Do we have a second to that nomination? Second, Mrs. Shea. Any discussion? Are we correct that we could send 2? We could send 2.
Don't pressure luck.
Just asking the question.
I nominated David.
David, do you accept? Okay, we have a motion for David. Do I have a second for Mr. Fisher? David Fisher?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Shea. We have 2 candidates that are going to serve as representatives for October 21st as delegates for the Delegate Assembly for PSBA, which we are a member. Do I have any other nominations? Hearing none, do I have a motion that nominations be closed? Motion, Mr. Shea. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Ken Fisher. Any discussion on closing nominations with Seth Foreman and David Fisher being our 2 delegates? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative of closing nominations and appointing these 2 gentlemen to be our delegates. I hear no negatives, so congratulations, gentlemen. Take a trip to the Poconos.
Last year, the online one was pretty fire, so it should be fun.
Very good. Thank you for representing us. 9E, recommended approval and accept display of the Randall Sugar statue. A representative of West Pennsboro Township has contacted the school district requesting to relocate a bronze bust of Randall Sugar, Medal of Honor recipient for the military valor of a 1976 graduate of Big Spring High School, from West Pennsboro Park to the Big Spring High School with no cost to the Big Spring for materials and labor for relocation. The administration recommends acceptance of the statue for display at the high school as presented. Do I have a motion, please? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Foreman. Any discussion? Dr. Bronte, you were thinking of putting this at the high school somewhere, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. The exact location has not been defined.
Very good.
Can I make a recommendation that the Tempest Club be a part of this?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Still any more discussion? I think no more discussion, so I assume that we're all voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. 9F, recommended approval of the move to the York Adams Interscholastic Athletic Association. Mr. Pennant, Director of Athletics and Student Activities, recommends the Big Spring School District move to the York Adams Interscholastic Athletic Association, leading the independent conference in the 2026-27 school year. It would not be for this fall, it would be for next year, 26-27. The administration recommends the move to the York Adams Interscholastic Athletic Association as presented. Do I have a motion, please? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shea. Any discussion? Yes, Mrs. Booth.
I had asked about, there were many meetings, and I asked about notice for the meetings, or no notice for the meetings. I asked about a vote, or if there was some official vote, and from my understanding, there was no official vote taken on the feelings of the coaches to get a majority of the coaches to know whether they were for or not for this. And the same goes for the parents that were involved in the meetings when the vote was taken there. I really feel it would be responsible to get an actual vote from the parents that were involved and heard all of the things that they had to say and also from the coaches as well. I don't really feel like we have a good amount of information. We could have a better amount of information if we had an actual vote on that.
Thank you, Mrs. Booth, for those comments. Is there any other discussion? Yes, Mr. Corman.
Mr. Penner's here, is he not? Could we have him answer some questions?
Mr. Penner is in the back. Mr. Penner's coming forward. I would just like to share I'm on the athletic council. That's not a committee, that's a council. We normally just make recommendations. We don't normally vote at those meetings. It seemed to be a consensus. I also spoke with many coaches, and it seemed like there was a favorable note that the coaches were in favor. And I would just like to state from a personal standpoint, I coached in the YAIAA league for 33 years. I felt respected. I felt my athletes were treated with dignity. I felt the competition was great. And I felt that overall, the experience of my athletes and the Reading Springs was a great experience in competition, as well as facilities, as well as opportunities. And I hope that will continue if we choose to move to that area. Thank you. Mr. Penner, please.
Yep, go ahead.
All right. So I've heard some things about it. So my concerns are, well, parents have the traveling concerns, which you did send a spreadsheet that laid that out, and it doesn't look like traveling is going to be that much different.
Correct.
My concern is the competitiveness of what we're getting into. So people may not realize, but these different divisions that we're in are all created by the association that we're a member of. So what would the competitiveness look like versus the other one? And I know they haven't decided which division to be in, but speak to the competitiveness in the group that you think we would be in.
So the current Mid-Penn structure is there is a realignment committee that is established every 4 years. I was actually part of that committee. You submit recommendations to the whole, and then the Mid-Penn by a 75% vote has to approve those divisions. This last process, it was almost entirely enrollment driven. Okay, so based on your enrollment. So we were placed into divisions where we were playing against 2A schools, 3A schools, and we're 4A in some sports and that kind of stuff. The attractive thing with York Adams is they've just approved a formula that they're going to use to decide their realignments. And that formula takes into account geography, your competitiveness in each program over a 5-year period, and it also takes into account some enrollment as well. They are looking to go to a big school, small school, and then everybody in the middle, which is what we would fall into like an East and West. So that is what their plan is. They just approved that formula, I think last month is what they shared with us.
Okay, and then the other question I have is the current division we're in, the current association we're in, they allow private schools to compete with the regular schools, and that creates a situation where you could have schools, picking their players.
That doesn't happen.
And that doesn't happen.
No, that doesn't happen at all.
But comparing the two,
Correct.
who would be less likely for that maybe not to happen?
York Adams. The parochial schools in the Mid-Penn are very driven by recruiting. That is not said of the York Adams schools, and I think probably Mr. Wardle can attest to that. They have York Catholic, Lancaster Catholic, DeLone Catholic, Shalom Christian Academy just came into York Adams as well. They're not necessarily known to be recruiting for athletic purposes.
And then you took a look at the formula that this other York is doing. That formula, does that formula look a more fair for schools of our size if you lumped it together instead of maybe like us playing against the CB?
So what I feel that formula will better set us up for are those programs that are doing well to play in a division that is competitive. And those programs that struggle will be moved into a division that would allow them to rebuild and grow some successful experiences.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tennant, not only for answering our questions, but also the research and the involvement in all the groups that we've tried to give information to and try to gather information back. Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, we have a motion and a second. I assume that everyone's voting in affirmative to move the YAIAA lady unless I hear a negative or abstain. Motion passes. Moving on to 9G, recommended approval of fundraisers. Mr. Tennant, Director of Athletics and Student Activities, is providing a youth soccer tournament on July 11, 2025, and Marina Sub-Sale on September 11 to September 25th to benefit the Student Athletic Leadership Council. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the fundraisers as presented. Do I have a motion, please? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Farmer. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. 9H, recommended approval of the field trip. Middle school, high school principal, Robertson Ace, is requesting approval of the following field trip. The History Club to attend the Gettysburg Film Festival on May 8th. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the field trip request as presented. Do I have a motion, please? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shea. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in favor of the field trip unless I hear a negative or abstaining. Moving on to 9I, we have 2 elections we need to do this evening. One is a 1-year appointment and one is a 4-year appointment, provided these individuals continue to serve on the board. The election of treasurer is a 1-year appointment beginning July 1 and serving until June 30th, 2026. Based on Section 404 of the Public School Code of 1949, the President Wardle will open the floor to nominate the office of treasurer for a 1-year appointment beginning 7/1/2025. to 6/30/2026. This is a roll call vote. I'll ask Mrs. Booth to please call the roll call. And at this time, I will open for nominations. Mrs. Shade is the current treasurer, serving up to June 30th of this year. Do I have any motion? Do I have nominations from the floor for the office of treasurer?
I nominate Mrs. Shade.
I have a nomination from Lisa Shade. Do I have any other nominations? Do I have a second to Mrs. Shade's nomination? Second, Mrs. Booth. Mrs. Shade, you want to serve, please? Thank you, Mrs. Shade. Any other nominations? Mrs. Booth, will you please call the roll for Mrs. Shade to be appointed as treasurer for 7/1/2025 to 6/30/2026, please?
Mrs. Bigler?
Yes, it's affirmative.
Myself is yes for Lisa Shade. Mr. Corman?
Yes.
Mr. J.D. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Michael Higginsteele?
Yes.
Mr. Myers? Yes. Mrs. Shade? Yes. And Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Okay. Lisa Shade is all in the affirmative of Lisa Shade.
Thank you. Vote is 9-0, and we affirm that Mrs. Shade is our treasurer beginning July 1 and continues. Thank you, Mrs. Shade, for wanting to serve. Moving to 9J, election of a 4-year appointment of secretary from 7/1/2025 to 6/30/2029. School boards must appoint a board secretary in May of this year to serve as a 4-year term beginning July 1. The 404 of the school code and the code secretary position must be appointed every 4 years beginning in May from 1953 code. At this point, Mrs. Booth is the secretary for the board. Do I have a motion to nominate someone for secretary for the board beginning July 1? Nominations, please.
I would like to nominate Mrs. Booth.
Mrs. Booth, do I have a second to Mrs. Booth's nomination?
Second.
Second, Mr. Corman. Mrs. Booth, are you willing to serve?
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Are there other nominations, please? Hearing none, we'll move into a roll call vote. Donna, should Mrs. Booth call the roll call, or should I call it? Yeah, Mrs. Booth, since you have that there, would you please call the roll? Mr. King? Doesn't matter, Mr. King? Okay, Mrs. Booth, would you please call the roll for secretary for a 4-year term, please?
Melissa Bigler?
Yes.
And myself? Yes. Mr. Corman?
Yes.
Mr. J.D. Fisher, please?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Higginsteele?
Yes.
Mr. Myers? Yes. Mrs. Shade?
Yes.
And Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Thank you. That is all those for Julie Booth for secretary.
Vote is 9-0. Mrs. Booth is selected as secretary for the 4-year term from July 1 until 6/30/2029. We'll now move into 9K, recommended approval of ESS amendment. Dr. Sanders has reviewed the amendment of ESS support services to LLC to assist in securing substitute custodial services. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the amendment as presented. Do I have a motion for 9K? Motion, Mr. Myers, second, Mrs. Shade. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. Moving into 9A, A motion to request the Solicitor Augustine draft a policy for pre-employment drug screening for all prospective district employees and paid coaches to be presented for future board approval. Do I have a motion, please? 9L, excuse me, thank you, Mr. Bickerstaff. 9L. Do I have a motion to approve Mr. King to develop a policy? Motion, Mr. David Fisher. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Corman. Do I have any other discussion? Do I have any discussion, please? Mrs. Booth, go ahead. Mrs. Shade, go ahead, please.
I've conducted some basic research on pre-employment drug testing and found that it's not uncommon for schools to implement such a policy. I also understand the importance of ensuring the safety of our students and staff. In addition, I reached out to the administration for their perspective. They provided valid points about the potential drawbacks of implementing a drug testing policy and explained why they believe it may not be necessary. Additionally, they mentioned that adopting such a policy could expose the district to potential legal issues. So I have a question for Mr. King, if I may. Mr. King, have you encountered many other districts that have implemented similar policies?
The short answer is yes. There are a number of districts throughout the state, lots of districts, that have pre-employment drug testing policies in place. In anticipation of this meeting tonight, I went back myself just to check. Mr. Ober had asked me that question several months ago, and I reported to him that I knew of a number of districts that have pre-employment drug testing policies, and so there are a large number of districts that do. As a matter of fact, almost every district has some sort of pre-employment drug testing. If you have anyone who has a CDL license, for example, it's mandatory, and random testing is mandatory too for CDL drivers. So there are a number of policies, and there are a number of things that the board will have to decide. There are issues like the use of marijuana that will have to be addressed in the policy. Someone who has a medical marijuana card, that issue will have to be addressed, and the standards will have to be addressed in the policy as well. So I'm very familiar with them. They're very common in business settings. I've done lots of them, and in schools, we've done a number of them as well. So.
Mrs. Booth, you have some comments?
Go ahead, I would just like to point out that I discovered that we did not do this last summer. There was an issue that was brought to the board's attention from a parent, and after I read the email, my first thought was, how could someone do that? And what must they be on? Was my honest interpretation of what I just read. And then when I asked a few questions about the drug testing policy, we didn't have one, and I was quite shocked that we didn't do at least a basic pre-employment drug testing. It's very standard across all fields. We can make boxes. You have to have a drug test. This is not abnormal in the real world. People that I've spoken to about it mentioned we don't have a pre-employment drug test. Their jaws drop. I can't believe that we would put our students in a school with employees that we didn't take the time to do a pre-employment drug test. It's just a basic thing that nearly every job requires. And if we never have a positive drug screen, I hope we don't. That would be fantastic, but I still think it's worth the money to do. After we had heard back from Mr. King about the possibilities of that and the legal ramifications of that, and we were approaching budget time, I said, well, I think maybe we need to consider budgeting for that. So I got permission to go ahead and look into how much this might cost, because it sounds like it might be a costly thing. I reached out to multiple companies. The cheapest of the 3 quotes, 2 of them are very close, one's a little more, is $34.95. So for $35, we can know for sure that the person that we're hiring for whatever it is, if it's a teaching position or if it's the custodian position or the coaching position, or we trust these people to be with our students, all of us, late at night, we will know if they can pass that test. And I think that's important. And if we gain a reputation for caring about our kids enough to do a drug test before we hire someone, I think that's a reputation that we're willing to gain here at the district. If no other districts in the area do that, that's okay. I think we would enjoy drawing those teachers to this district. So, thank you for putting it on the agenda. Originally, I asked for this to be on the agenda in October of 24, and I'm just thankful it is on here today.
Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Mr. Myers, your comment?
Are we going to check with our teaching candidates if they have alcohol too, and or if they swear at kids, or I mean, where are we going to draw the line here? I've never touched drugs in my life. I'm not advocating that, but I think we stereotype a little bit. I realize, but I would venture to guess that people who are coming to interview or to apply for a teaching position aren't going to be drug thugs. And if they come in, you might know that, again, it might be stereotyping, but I think we would know that anyway. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Other comments? Mr. Coleman?
Yeah, so from my understanding, if we vote yes on this, that would just go to the solicitor would design something presented. It wouldn't go into effect. We'd have to re-vote on it for an effect. I am interested in seeing what such a policy would do for our insurance costs, because I know there are different programs that get benefits from certain things. So I do want to see what that side of things would entail, and that would give us plenty of time to look into that and approve or disapprove then once the policy is finished. So I think looking into it is okay. Definitely want to see what it might entail for insurance costs.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Other comments? Mrs. Booth?
I did a few facts and headlines for you to answer Mr. Myers. In 2015, it was estimated by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration that about 5.5% of all people in educational services had an addiction disorder. And some headlines all from within the last 2 years. A second-grade Virginia teacher is arrested for drug use while at school. Teacher was arrested for having cocaine in the classroom in Middle Tennessee. A Chesterfield teacher admits to using drugs, found drugs in her bag at school. A Montgomery teacher faces federal drug charges. First-grade teacher who was arrested for allegedly selling drugs that killed a DC man. That's now under, was facing federal charges. A Horry County teacher is arrested for allegedly having drugs at school. A cheer coach is accused of giving students drugs. A local youth athletics coach was arrested on suspicion of selling drugs. A coach in Gettysburg was relieved of his duties after some drug use showed up on a video. And just 5 days ago, a Conestoga High School teacher was charged for acting inappropriately with a 16-year-old student and giving her medical marijuana. So this is not unheard of. I hope it does not happen here in Big Spring, but in the world we live in, I think it's a responsible thing to do for our students to ensure that we have a safe school.
Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Other comments? Mrs. Shea?
I'm just wondering how much time would be required of Mr. King to draft such a policy? I'm just trying to figure out what sort of expense we're looking at, especially considering the fact that we might not even adopt something that's drafted. What kind of expense are we looking at just to draft?
I would estimate, probably 3 or 4 hours of time. put that together, get it out to the board, take a look at it, answer questions. So, yeah, imagine it takes too much more than that. There may be revisions necessary to it, depending on what the board wants to do. But of course, we're talking about, this is, just so the public knows, this is pre-employment drug testing. So it's not the drug testing of anyone who's currently employed. This is people who apply hereafter, after the policy goes into effect. And it's not random drug testing of existing employees. It's only those applicants who are offered a position after you interview them, then that person, before getting a job, they would be offered the job, and then a condition of employment would be that they would take a pre-employment drug test. So it's not current employees, it's pre-employment of people who are not here yet.
And normally that would be at the district's cost once they've offered employment?
That's normally how it's done. I would suggest that would be the case. And certainly we can get those costs for you. There would be lots of companies who would do that sort of thing for you.
Dr. Carter?
And Mr. King, good information for us to have. Out of the 500 school districts in the state of Pennsylvania, how many would represent what you referenced in terms of number? Not putting you on the spot here, but a little research would be good in that capacity. The second thing, if I got what Mrs. Duke just said in terms of those headlines, and I cross-referenced the school districts in which they were part of, could I share that with you as well and say, do they have pre-employment drug testing or not?
I looked to answer this question, a number of districts that we represent do, but I also looked at some others around the state. So, for example, Lancaster School District has a pre-employment drug test. If you hang on just a minute, I'll look and see who else I copied on here. A number of districts. I couldn't tell you exactly how many out of the 500 do it, but I found a number myself just looking to see whether there were pre-employment policies in place. I'm sure they vary from district to district and which employees are pre-employment tested, but there are plenty of policies out there.
I think if we could have a number in terms of how many, that reference a lot, and if we could take those headlines and then cross-reference and see if the preventative measures were circumvented, or did they happen after somebody was employed, that would be good information for the board to have.
Thank you, Dr. Nante and Mr. King. Any other discussion? Okay, so for voting this evening, go ahead, Mr. Shea.
I'd like to recommend tabling for further information. Yes, I'd like to make a motion to table.
Okay, we have a motion to table the motion to the solicitor, to request the solicitor to do anything at this time, and so that we can discuss it more, or at least think about it more. Mr. Hippensteel has also seconded that. So is a motion on the floor to table this at this time? Do I have any other discussion? Hearing none, if we vote in the affirmative, then we're tabling this and no action at this time. It may come up again in the agenda. All those in favor, I assume we're voting in the affirmative unless I hear a nay or abstaining.
No.
I hear one no. Is there any others? No. Okay, I hear two no's. I assume the other 7 are voting in the affirmative to table this motion. Moving on to 9M.
Question, if I may?
Yes, Mr. James.
Would this draft include screening for any future board members or contract vendors?
That's a good question. At this point, we've tabled it, so at this point, that's something for us to think about, but no action has been taken. Moving on to 9M. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Don. Moving on to 9M, recommended approval of school physician and medical standing orders for the 25-26 school year. Dr. Sanders, Assistant Superintendent, recommends school physician of medical guidelines standing orders for the 25 school year. With Dr. Daryl Geiswick, school physician, per student, and a stipend of $1,510 per student, and a stipend of $1,000. Medical guidelines and standing orders to be presented. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors appoint Dr. Daryl Geiswick as the school physician and approve the medical guidelines for standing orders for the 25-26 school year as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Second. Do we have discussion? It's $1,510 per student and should be 25-26 school year. Thank you for catching that. Is that correct, Don?
My mistake.
Okay, on the agenda, it states 24-25. We're going to change that to 25-26. Yeah. Okay? So each student is examined, we pay a rate of $15.10, and then we pay a $1,000 stipend, and then we also have medical guidelines and standing orders from the doctor in case of emergencies. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Yes, Mr. Corman?
This is just a standard position that we hire every year, correct?
Correct. We've had experience in the past, correct, Dr. Brown, Dr. Senior? Any other discussion? Hearing none, I assume you're all voting in the affirmative for Mr. Dexter, Dr. Dexter to be our physician, unless I have negative or abstaining. 9N, recommended approval of that award bid to Cellular Signal Boosting for the summer 2025 project in the amount of $106,138.99. This will give us better cell service and boosting and Wi-Fi and a lot of things to help us communicate better. The administration recommends the award of cellular signal boosting to the Bolton Install Pros in the amount of $106,138.99. And it will be paid from the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, the PCCD Safety and Security Grant. So if things go well, we will not have a cost to the district funds directly. Is that correct, Dr. Grant?
That's correct, sir.
Thank you. Any, do I have a motion to approve, please? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Corman. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. Oh, excuse me. Mr. Corman, I'm sorry, before we vote, Mr. Corman, your comment, please?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a little bit of understanding for the public. So this is to cover dead spots in the school for cellular reception, so that if there's an emergency, you can communicate out of the school from multiple devices and multiple technologies. Is that correct?
That is correct. Mr. Krebs, could you shake your head? That's a thumbs up, yes. So this is dead spots not only in our buildings, but also around our buildings and our staff and our community within the Big Spring School District for each of our elementary schools, middle school, and high school. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Corman, for that update. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. Motion carries. Moving on to 9O. Recommended approval to purchase middle school furniture. The administration has discussed the need to replace the middle school furniture and a security quote from Corbett Incorporated for desks and chairs to the cost of $205,168.24. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the purchase of middle school furniture as presented, which will be paid from the general fund budget of this year. Do I have a motion, please? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shea. Do I have discussion? Mr. Corman?
Yeah, so I know we use CoStars on this, but I have no data on what was put into CoStars. Was it a selected chair you used to put into CoStars, or did you just put in a description of what you want? Because I found the same, similar desk, similar chair, similar sitting arrangements, you can sit on it multiple different ways, and that chair and desk combination will only cost almost half of what we're asked to pay for these.
Are you saying the same manufacturer?
It's not the same manufacturer, it's a different manufacturer. So I'm trying to figure out, because when we put out bids, even to CoStars, you're supposed to look at a variety of products and a variety of vendors to fill your needs. And I'm concerned that it may look like, at least to me, it looks like we haven't looked at a variety of vendors and a variety of different objects. We've only looked at that one particular company, that one particular model. I know we've recently expanded it to a couple of other different chairs that they offer, but it doesn't look like the due process for this particular item was actually done.
Dr. Bronte, can you explain how the CoStars process worked in this scenario, please?
Certainly. In terms of time frame for this particular purchase, 3 years in the making, is my understanding. The research and investigation on the design and functionality and the components of the chair predated my arrival here. CoStars is a predetermined vendor quality, so then you go ahead and they've already vetted the most competitive price relative to that. The manufacturer that we're going with is KI, and KI is one of the most reputable manufacturers of chairs and desk furniture for schools in the state of Pennsylvania. So I think when you look at this particular purchase, you're talking about function, you're talking about design, construction, and warranty. Anything else I could not find that would rival all four of those components. Most of the things that were sent to me as alternative options were half of the warranty, if not a third of the warranty, that this particular purchase was.
Mr. Shea, please.
I believe it's important to view this as a multi-year investment, not a one-year expense. The current desks date back to at least the early 80s. A 40-year lifespan for them is unrealistic, so I estimated on a reasonable lifespan of 20 years. Each desk chair set would then cost about $20 per year, resulting in an annual cost of approximately $10,000 for all middle school desks and chairs. This seems reasonable to me. The April 7th presentation included statistics from a product research study. I was able to obtain additional information from the administration, including a copy of the 14-page Ruckus research report and the PowerPoint presentation, both of which I reviewed thoroughly. The research partnered with schools that value collaborative work and involved a balance of K through 5, 6 through 12, and higher education facilities. It found that adaptable furniture significantly increases student participation, engagement, learning retention, enjoyment, supports technology use, enhances comfort, allows freedom of movement, and facilitates group work. The positive impact was more pronounced in younger grades, with freedom of movement identified as the primary driver for all ages. I also personally explored the 4 top-selling options mentioned by the vendor. The Ruckus chair was the only design that offered under-desk storage space for students' belongings, which I believe is important. I strongly feel that we should not compromise on quality for cheaper alternatives. You truly get what you pay for. Investing in durable and functional furniture at $20 each per year is reasonable and beneficial for students' learning environments.
Thank you, Mrs. Shea. Other comments? Yes, Mr. Corman.
Not again, just the point when I said they have similar form and function. And then the design that I had looked at online cost half of what we're asking taxpayers to pay. And I have yet to see anything that has compared any of these. He says the warranty is half. Well, the warranty in this chair was like 15 years. What's the warranty?
Yeah, warranties, lifetime. Most of the chairs that were sent to me do not have a catalytic. Their function is not stable. I mean, we can certainly spend less money, but I believe that that is probably not the best purchase in terms of function and versatility for the classrooms.
All right, well, I'm trying to make sure that we're paying the correct product. And I'm seeing multiple different versions from multiple different companies. And I want to make sure that we've given those companies a chance to compete against this company. It doesn't sound like you did. I have your word for it, but I haven't seen any paperwork.
We did, sir, because I'm telling you right now that it's cross-referencing the chairs that were sent to me relative to the chair that you have. It's back to the warranty, the durability, the construction. We did the research.
I haven't seen the research.
I will always choose quality over price, always. We just approved $106,000 for cell phone reception. That's probably going to be outdated in a few years, and we're going to have to update that. These chairs are going to last us 20 plus years without any issues. KI, if you've done a little research, KI is the leader among all state and government agencies. They are known to be very high quality. You can't rock back on these chairs. They're not four-legged chairs, they're not cantilever chairs. The base on them does not allow you to rock back. Also, the backpack storage area underneath. Very few chairs allow you to have backpack storage underneath. Usually it's on the back of the chair. which is cumbersome and allows the chair to kick back. So, my daughter, perfect example, just a couple of weeks ago, backpacks in the middle of the aisle, kid stepped on her backpack, her MacBook is inside, cracked the screen. I want the storage underneath the chairs. I think teachers ask for it. I think that it's safe, keeps everything clean inside the school, the chairs slide easily. In my mind, it's the best thing that we can do. We also have enrollment rate. The kids coming up in and through, I think this
Fifth grader and sixth grader over 200.
Yeah, we need these chairs. It's not a want, it's a need. They're not designer chairs. I heard the public say about designer chairs. It's not a designer chair, it's a new chair. It's met all the requirements. I think there was also some type of certification for.
Yeah, there's on private school, we've got like a BIM compliance standard, and most adults and middle school age children would exceed the weight limit of most of the chairs that were sent.
What we don't want to have happen is if we order chairs at half the cost, and then in 5 years, some type of law comes out that says, well, your chairs and desks don't meet the requirements, we're going to have to increase your insurance rates. Right now, it's meeting all the specs. That's mine.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston, and to everyone for the comments. Are there any others? Mrs. Booth?
Yes, so I just want to clarify, piggybacking on Seth's question, I know we changed the original quote. The original quote was for the chairs with the casters, and now we have a quote for chairs without the casters. And we run that on CoStars without the casters.
That's
Just to have it.
Casters were not called favorably at our last meeting, nor did the middle school staff design our casters.
And also, I just want to say, we had gotten an email from you, which was to be kept confidential, about a teacher and student survey on the chairs. And which chair did the teachers select as their favorite chair?
Mine only.
Which is not this one.
That is correct. About 50-50. Students chose to choose one.
Any other comments? Okay, then we'll proceed to vote. We have a motion and a second to purchase new chairs for the middle school for $205,168.24. I assume we're voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining.
No.
Okay, Mrs. Booth is voting no. Mr. Dave Fisher is voting no. And Mr. Corner, correct? Everyone else is voting in the affirmative. Okay, then the chairs pass for the middle school furniture. I would like to say thank you to all involved in the process, and hopefully our students will benefit in the future. That concludes our regular action items for this evening. The rest of the items are information items only. Local Advisory Committee from the Local Advisory Committee meeting agenda and meeting minutes from the April 15th meeting. Donation recognition, Big Spring School District received 2 additional monetary donations in memory of Leslie Zinn, a 1973 graduate, which was accepted by Dr. Bronte to benefit the high school FFA program. Also, Big Spring School District received monetary donations from the John Muir Trust, which was accepted by Superintendent Dr. Bronte for student awards for the class of 2025. Contracted staff updates, Dr. Sanders provided one of those. Agriculture Advisory Committee meeting minutes and agenda are provided. Oath administered to new board member Mrs. Alyssa Bigler has been conducted on Friday, 25th, 2025 as school director for the Leeville Borough. It's also been updated on the board of school director roster and has been posted on the webpage. We have a leave request. Moving into board reports, Mr. Ken Fisher, Athletic Council.
June 4th.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Building and Property Committee, we had, I'm going to ask David Fisher, do you have anything to add this evening?
I do not.
Okay. We've added Melissa Baker to that post also. Capital Area Meeting Unit, Mr. Corman. Thank you. Cumberland Prairie Area CTC, myself and Mr. Edwardsdale, I would just report that last meeting, we did hear things about about the knocking testing. We heard things about the building project is going through the permits. We also were informed of graduation for our students and a celebration of that, and also looking forward to selection of many of our students to the CTC program. Day committee, Mrs. Booth.
We had a meeting tonight, and next meeting will be June 2nd.
Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Finance committee, Mrs. Bigger and Julie Booth. I'm going to ask Mrs. Shea, do you have anything to share this evening, Mrs. Shea? From finance?
The next meeting is May 19th, with the next additional after that in June 2nd.
And at the May 19th, we plan on hopefully adopting a budget of some type. Future ready comp plan, board reps, Mr. Fisher, anything?
Nothing at this time, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Policy Review and Development Committee, Mr. Foreman.
Next meeting is May 19th.
Thank you. South Central Trust, Mr. Foreman.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. David Fisher, Tax Collection Committee.
Nothing.
Thank you. Wellness Committee, Mr. Foreman.
Nothing at this time.
Future board agenda items from the floor. Dr. Bronte, your report, please.
District enrollment 2,353, 142 regular cyber, 95 special ed cyber, 221 home education, and 118 still enrolled in CTC. Kindergarten registration up to 106, 38 in Mount Rock, 31 in Midvale, and 37 in Oak Flat. 2 orientations for kindergarten coming up this Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday at Mount Rock, Thursday at Oak Flat. Anybody that completes registration tomorrow for kindergarten can participate in either one of those orientations, so it's highly recommended that takes place. Some informational items is the season of celebration and performances. So tomorrow we have the High School Honor Society induction ceremony at 7 at the High School Auditorium. Middle School Spotlight on Learning and the Spring Concert. This is Thursday right here in this auditorium. The whole evening begins at 4 o'clock. Mount Rock has a Spotlight on Learning next Wednesday from 4:30 to 6:30. Newville has its time capsule opening and Spotlight on Learning on May 20th, and that runs from 4:30 to 6:30. And I'd like to conclude my report with congratulations to our CTC students of the quarter, Alyssa Baer, Cosmetology and Government and Civics, Cole Cleveland, Government and Civics, Jillian Livelsberger, Advertising Art and Design 3, Brianna Petticourt, Automotive Technology 2, Katie Rhodes in Criminal Justice 3, and Taylor Shea in Government and Civics. That's all I have this evening, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Bronte. Our solicitor, Mr. King, do you have anything to share at this time?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. King. Thanks for being here. Ask each board member to give any information they'd like. I'll start with Mr. David Fisher, please. Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Foreman?
I want to congratulate the board on getting new furniture for the middle school. I do disagree with the price tag, not the actual desk chairs themselves. I think there could have been a cheaper option, but I do understand that the middle school needs an upgrade. So my vote tonight wasn't in representation of not needing the desk, but mostly just in disagreement with the price tag in there. So I'm hoping the middle school is very happy with the desk and chairs, and I can't wait to see them in action.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Mr. Ken Fisher, please. Thank you. Welcome, and Mrs. Baker, do you have anything to share? Thank you, Mrs. Baker, for being here. Mr. Myers, please.
Yeah, a couple of things here. First of all, I'd like to welcome Mrs. Ziegler to our board. I'd also like to mention that I appreciate the attendance here today with not only staff members but community members who are truly concerned and caring about what goes on in our schools and with our families. I'd also like to, I think Mr. Penner left, but I think he did a very good job and had countless hours of meeting with lots of different people and making lots of phone calls about this change in leg, in our athletic leg. It wasn't an easy decision by any means, but I think it probably was the best thing. And lastly, but not probably the worst thing that I have to share is that many of you might know, we have a former school board member who is fighting. I don't know if Gene, you know any more than we know or not, but Dave Gutshaw is home under hospice care, and I think he and his whole family would appreciate your thoughts and prayers. I was out to see him last Monday, and he seemed in pretty good spirits, and he's always considered, he's a true bulldog himself, and he'll certainly be missed when his time comes. Thank you.
Mrs. Shea?
Okay, I see a lot of new faces here, so just for anyone wondering, I'd like to share a little bit of informational tidbits as my comment. I have a little bit of a lengthy one, but I'll try to speak through it. Tonight I would like to discuss school board meetings and the purpose and role of a school director. I've noticed the sharing of unclear and conflicting information, and based on recent conversations, I believe it may be helpful to provide clarity and basic information to the public. The first topic is the difference between town hall meetings and Robert's Rules of Order. So let's compare. According to Google, a town hall meeting is a public event where community members and elected officials or political candidates discuss local issues, voice opinions, and ask questions. Robert's Rules of Order are a set of parliamentary rules and procedures designed to ensure that meetings are conducted in a fair, orderly, and democratic manner. Here's a little more detail. According to Google, town hall meeting, the purpose is to provide a forum for open dialogue and constituent engagement. Format often involves a question and answer session or open discussion with the goal of allowing citizens to express their opinions and concerns. Voting typically does not involve formal voting or passing of resolutions. Rules may or may not have specific rules or guidelines as long as constituent participation is allowed. Robert's Rules of Order. Purpose, to establish a structured and fair process for making decisions and conducting business during meetings. Format involves a strict agenda, specific procedures for motions, debates, and voting, and rules for maintaining order. Voting. Formal voting is a key part of Robert's Rules, with specific rules for making motions, debating them, and taking votes. Rules follows a detailed set of parliamentary procedures to ensure fairness and efficiency. Big Spring School Board meetings differ from town hall meetings as they follow Robert's Rules of Order. So during the meeting is not a proper time for school board directors and stakeholders to engage in conversation and exchange ideas. At meetings, prior to official action by the board, the public is provided an opportunity to comment. However, if you wish to engage in conversation, many board members make themselves available after the meeting. Now, let's take a moment to cover one of the key duties of a school director. According to Google, a school director's key duty is community engagement. School directors are to perform this duty by building strong community relationships. They shall do so by fostering communication and collaboration between the school district and the community. Representing the community, they shall do so by serving as a voice for the community's concerns and priorities within the school district. Promoting public understanding. They shall do so by educating the public about the school district and its mission. Lastly, I'll briefly cover two relevant board policies. The entire board policy manual is available on the district website under the school board tab. Note that only a portion of these two policies will be covered this evening. For complete information, please visit the district website. The first policy I'll cover is Policy Manual, Section 900, Community, titled Public Participation in Board Meetings, Code 903. Page 2, under Guidelines. Members of the public wishing to address the board may be so consistent with the following time, place, and manner limitations. Participants must complete a public comment card in its entirety to be recognized by the presiding officer. Each participant shall be limited to 3 minutes total duration for the public comment. No participant may donate the public comment time allotment to another participant. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question board members individually. Moving forward, I've noticed several instances of unclear wording in publicly shared information concerning this next policy, and I'd like to clarify. The term empowerment is defined as giving official authority or legal power to something. The shared information of concern suggests that the board should govern by empowering professional educators and administrators, meaning the board should give official authority or legal power to them. This statement does not align with current board policy, therefore I reviewed the policy for clarity and wanted to share. Board Policy Section 000, Local Board Procedures, Title, Board Government Standards, Code of Conduct, Code 11. Page 2, Standards through Effective School Governance, number 3. Governs through school by. So the board is to govern through policy by seeking input from stakeholders and following an established procedure for consideration. Page 1, number 1. Advocates for a thorough and efficient system of public education by, so the board is to advocate by, engaging and promoting community support by seeking input, building support networks, and generating action. On the one last section of importance, page 1, number 2, the board models responsible governance and leadership by engaging all community stakeholders. Now, for a quick recap, we have established the difference between town hall meetings and Robert's Rule of Order. We have noted if the community wishes to engage with members of the board for the purpose of sharing their ideas, questions, concerns, vote reasoning, etc., it would be encouraged to use the time after the meeting for a desired conversation. We've also confirmed that a key duty of school director is community engagement. School directors are to perform this duty by building strong community relationships, representing the community, and by promoting public understanding. In conclusion, we covered a portion of the current policy board governance standards. We've established that the board policy indicates the school directors should govern through policy by seeking input from stakeholders and follow established procedures for consideration, should advocate for a thorough and efficient system of public education by engaging and promoting community support, by seeking input, building support networks, and generating action, and should model responsible governance and leadership by engaging all community stakeholders. My comment is for the purpose of community engagement and promoting public understanding. I hope my comments are helpful and I have provided clarity. If anyone would like more information on board policies, I would encourage you to visit the district website to conduct further research. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Shea. Mrs. Booth? Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Mr. Hippenstein? Thank you, Mr. Hippenstein. As we close this evening, I'm thankful for three great things. First of all, to each of you for being here, both online and in person, for sitting through our discussions, deliberations, listening to voting, but more importantly, being here as a voice, whether you speak publicly at the podium or whether you speak as a silent person just being here. It's important. We're here for the kids. We're here for their development, their success, their graduation, and the many opportunities that we want to provide to them. Speaking of opportunities, the last 2 days, I had the opportunity to drive at Dickinson College. Trevor Richmond, you might remember him, junior now at Dickinson College, 6th in the nation. 6th in the nation on 2 days. The pleasure to see him running in the rain. Second of all, I'm very thankful for this community, for the outpouring of support for the 2 mountain fires that occurred. I was on the line. I appreciated the granola bars, the Gatorades, the water. And we had a tremendous outpouring for many of the firehouses in our community, for the firefighters, for the people who provide food. On Friday evening, we had 550 firefighters from over 112 companies to Penn Township serving them before they went to fight on the mountain to protect Kings Gap. But that was only possible because of the generosity of the communities. And I thank each of you that may have donated, either monetarily or food, or just support or prayers. It was a major undertaking. The one at Kings Gap was put out primarily with volunteers. It's 471 acres, And with the rain we're receiving right now, it's pretty much out. The one in Shippensburg, the governor came on that one, and we had about 2,800 acres burned. Same mountain, same leaves, same trees. So thank you to all the volunteers from our community support. And lastly, I thank the graduates. 12 days, Dr. Mountain, are you counting? I looked at the calendar. It's under 14, I think, until they have finals. Can't wait to see them graduate. Can't wait to see them fly out to new heights, to leave this community and go on to do greater and bigger things. And some of them will stay. And we're proud of that. We're proud of all of our students, and we know they all have success. Do I have a motion to adjourn, please? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Parman. There is no discussion. Thank all of you for coming, and I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.